and work. In every society, there must be an intelligent class, administrative class, productive class, and worker class. In modern democracy, these scientific divisions are turned topsy-turvy, and by vote, Shudras or workers are chosen for administrative posts. Having no knowledge of the ultimate goal of life, such persons whimsically enact laws without knowledge of life's purpose. The result is that no one is happy. Om Tat Sat. The purport ends with no one is happy. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, welcome to all of you who are on YouTube and Facebook and on Zoom, etc., and who will be seeing this later also. The wonderful translation given here by Prabhupada and the purport given by him are very clearly speaking what's going on in this world today. And this may be written 50 or even more than that years back by Prabhupada. And why is it relevant is because these are principles of life. Details may change as time changes, but the principles are the same. And what is the principle that's being spoken about here? If you don't have a leader, if you don't have a king who will rule the people, meaning of the word rule the people doesn't mean boss over them alone. It actually means inherently who will guide them and help them from straying away from the path to achieve the real goal of life. It takes interest in them. The king is like a father to everybody. And he recognizes that people have the tendency to become non-regulated and independent. These are very important things. It's not that Bhagavatam is telling you should not be independent. India should not get independence. Everybody should not have their independence and free speech and free will, etc., etc. That is not the way it should be understood. When conditioned soul becomes independent of any authority, nobody above, and nobody above the above, no God, no king also, then you will definitely by default, you're wired to act according to the pushing of the modes. Karanam gunasangasya sadasat yoni janmashu. You will, by nature, you're designed to act. And prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvachaha swabhavastu pravartate. You will start acting according to the modes affecting you. Your horoscope will take full effect. And everybody will fight with each other and kill each other, pull each other's hair. Ruling means we know you have material desires and we are organizing and putting in a system so that everybody can peacefully enjoy. Plus, they will be directed towards the goal of life, for which there are some do's and don'ts and restrictions and everything, even in your enjoyment. So conditioned soul needs guidance, and he appreciates that guidance when he gets it. And if he doesn't get it, he will become like this. And as soon as he gets it, he's willing to abide by it. This is the meaning of a conditioned soul. So there is bulk of the people are Shudras and Vaishyas and type of people. It's a very small band of people who are Brahmanas or thinking people like these sages. They're always thinking about the welfare of the people. Why? Because they can't think for themselves. They are like children. They have to be taken care of. Otherwise, they'll go astray. They will lose the valuable opportunity in the human form of life to make progress. These are all the concerns of sages. It's very interesting. People thought, hi, they didn't mess around with the low-level bulk of the people inside. as one of them, they had very edifying thoughts how to help these people. They didn't get involved in their low-level operation, fight with them, get on a false ego platform with them, because they don't think like that and they don't desire like that. So we need these type of people in society who can be detached, who can have vairagya, and plus know how to engage everybody in the material world. This is very important. There should be a section of people who have vairagya, detachment. And it's not that they don't have knowledge about how to do material things, but they don't do it. They engage others who can best do it and don't know anything else and who are not like them in terms of thinking in advanced way, in a sattvic way. So they engage. You see, Joshayat Sarva Karmani, Krishna is saying, very intelligently engage them according to the modes, what is their proclivity, guna karma vibhagasha, and engage them in society so that gradually they will elevate themselves. So you see, society has got a design. Prabhupada is speaking about it, the 4 varnas and ashramas. And that is designed by the Lord. Krishna is saying that, Chatur varnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagasha. There is a design and there is a purpose in that design. Everything in this world has got a purpose. The facility, the design, the path, it is so nicely thought of in terms of the spiritual progress of each person. It's not an ordinary design at all. To think that there is no design, to think that there is no intelligence behind, to think that everything is for my keeps and I can exploit these resources that are freely available. Who put it here? We don't know. But we see that we are here and the resources are here. Let's take it and let's exploit it. A godless civilization without any guidance of great personalities like the sages mentioned here will simply go to hell. Very horrible things will happen. You see, the statistics is that the way at the rate at which they've been exploiting resources of this planet since the industrial revolution, this is only about some maybe 100 years back, 40% of the resources of the whole world have been exploited to such a great extent. The statistics are staggering. And the amount of pollution, the amount of waste, the amount of usage, because they call it resources of the earth. The moment you use the word resource, the question comes, whose resource? They don't ask. They don't talk about it. They'll immediately say resource and start using it. Free, I found it first. I use it first. So in all these, programs, they have climate change, recent G7 meeting, and before that they have the Paris Protocol, and before that they had all these meetings where then they all sat together and said, listen, the whole planet is getting screwed up and we are all the reason for it. Each one of us to stop the emissions, reduce the carbon footprint. Each one of them is throwing and being responsible. And there's a huge moral and ethical discussion about it in climate justice, why some people who don't do this type of exploitation of the earth's resources need to suffer because others are doing it at a tremendous rate and pace. That type of justice should be there. Those who are actually utilizing it to the maximum extent, they're the ones who should reduce and pay for it and pay for others' damages also. In this way, if it's very natural and it seems proper and justice, that you should do that. And there's lots, and increasingly people are feeling it's such a lot of work to do in terms of getting everybody in this world and all the nations of this world together to agree on a common ground. We are screwing ourselves up, and we are screwing up the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. And the whole planet will be completely spoiled. And therefore, we should all get together There's no chance of them getting together because there's no leadership. There's no common planet leadership. There's because it's a godless civilization. In the name of God, whatever they would do, those who are religious also are not able to get certain things done. So that's why even the World Health Organization was thinking that out of all the types of people, because it's hopeless trying to get so many things done. And it's overwhelming. And the more they do, the more is to be done. In terms of bringing everybody together and saying that we're spoiling the planet and everything. No leadership. Nobody will listen to each other. Each one wants to fight with each other. It's so immature it looks. So immature it looks. So it's very dangerous situation, actually. People are not waking up to it. Prabhupada highlighted this in his purports. It's a dangerous situation. He keeps saying that there is no hope unless they accept a God-centered civilization. Unless they accept the Supreme Lord. It is not resource, just that you found it somewhere. Finders are keepers. No, it actually belongs to the Supreme Lord. That's how the wonderful philosophy of Lord Chaitanya, comes in. And we are very well placed to give a real solution to people. Leadership, number one. Unless people reform themselves from inside, from inside each one, society consists of units of individual human beings, and there are other living entities, and there is a whole resource given to us by the Supreme Lord, nature, which they call rivers, hills, minerals, fruits, trees, flowers, grains, crops, rain, all sorts of animals, and there's a whole setup, there's a whole ecological setup, and everything is one into the other very nicely synced. And who has put this in place? The more they discover scientifically things, the more they understand that this is a design in it. There is a design in it. What's the use of denying that design? And to explain that design as a result of the evolution over a long period of time, automatically matter is arranging itself and consciousness is coming out of it, is a real long shot in the dark for everybody to believe. But doggedly, they want to prove that. And that is the popular opinion. And this is the nature of thought, philosophy. A lot of the philosophy is coming from the Western philosophy. And a lot of the time when we preach, even in India, you see that westernized ideals are so prevalent. And the notion that you can have philosophy, plain philosophy, there's no question of philosophy having to be associated with anything God-centered. You see, Prabhupada said that philosophy without religion is mental speculation. And religion without philosophy is fanaticism. Actually, religion and philosophy go together. That's what is theology. Theology means the philosophy of the absolute truth. The philosophy of absolute truth will lead you to God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's so wonderfully explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam that we are reading. And this is one sliver of it. This is a requirement in society if you don't want people to get derailed and do what they want and kill themselves and spoil themselves. You become unregulated and you become independent. You become independent of whom? Of God. You become independent of God's representative, the king. And then you screw yourself up like nothing. It's not that authority is something bad. That notion that authority is bad in this generation of people, you see that I don't like any type of authority above me. That type of independence you're not yet able to handle. You're not able to, you have to be spiritually very well elevated to have no authority above and be able to manage yourself. Otherwise, everybody needs an authority and everybody has to be dependent on that authority to get guidance. People should use their intelligence. I need somebody. Tasmat gurum prapadyeta jignasu sheyah uttamam. Therefore, you must have a guide, guru. So in all levels of society, there are gurus. The wife, husband is a guru. For the child, parents are the guru. For the employee, the employer is the guru. For the subjects, the king is the leader, guru. And all of them bear the responsibility for leading everybody back to Krishna consciousness, back to Godhead, like that. So this is a setup. There is a system available. You cannot do anything on your own without bearing very heavy repercussions and results that come out of it. So this is what has happened to human society, because especially in India also, you see it's declared as a secular state. Secular state means we don't rule through religion. State and religion got separated. It's all very much connected to the Christian history and Christian theology and everything. Whole world, the Western philosophy, a lot to do with Christian philosophy and theology, but Christianity itself has got a limited amount of understanding on certain things. And behind that, a lot of these things were taken from the Greeks, and the Greeks' idea, and the Romans worshipped. So a lot of philosophy in the Western world comes from the Greek philosophy only. But the Eastern philosophy, mostly India, you can talk about Buddhists, it's all coming from this Vedic philosophy. You can talk about Sikhs, you can talk about Jains, you can talk about all these philosophies. They are all coming out of the wonderful Vedic philosophy. They're all offshoots of that same thing. But basically, that philosophy is what prevailed over the entire universe, entire world. And now it is shrunk into one small place called India. And a few people scattered here and there. For about 1 billion population practice this out of the 7-point-odd billion population of the world. But a huge bulk of them are following the Christian philosophy. And nothing wrong with it. Wonderful. They believe in God. They believe in this thing and everything. But over a period of time, it has become compromised in many different ways. And the philosophy is gradually got mixed up with many things. Because Christianity was actually the state religion. And many kings ruled on the basis of that. And the state heads were all religious heads. That's how it was. The church and the state were together. But then it got separated. And then there was a lot of fighting and all that. Then permanently they separated religion away from the state. That's when they became secular. Secular means we don't rule through religion. So can you imagine India is a secular government? But many in the world are not secular governments. In the Arab countries and the other places now, they're Muslim government. We rule using the religion. Because that's very important for keeping people together. Keeping people together on the basis of a philosophy and understanding a principle, God, and therefore do it. And they do it. But that has changed a lot. So today, if you want to do anything and bring all these people together who are highly independent, each nation following its own way of doing things, some is communist government, some is socialist, some is democracy, some is a mix between this and that, some no government, some dictatorial stuff going on, all sorts of people, because there's no common understanding, God-centered understanding. And so you have a variety of this thing. And of course, in a situation like this, we'll say, no, it's okay, whatever suits them, let them do. And increasingly, you will see the world situation is chaotic because there is no understanding about God, who is the original creator of this whole system of this world and everything. So if we say this, people will say you're fanatic religionists and everything. So, but if you ask foundational questions as to how this whole thing happened, how creation came about, how there is this type of a wonderful system, who gave these things, how is it beautiful? If you look at a flower, it's so beautifully designed with texture and everything. If you see a fruit, it is just made for a human being to put it into his mouth and chew it up and easily digest it. Everything is designed for the species of the world, and it is put together, and there is a balance, there's an interconnectedness. So a person who's a leader should know this. You should be a God-centered person. You should be connected with God. And only he can actually direct the people. Otherwise, the situation becomes very, very dangerous. So this situation says here, Bhrigu Muni, heading all the sages together, knew that King Anga, who was capable of being a leader, became morose and became completely disappointed and became hopeless in his feelings that he will be able to have a heir to the throne. And with all that type of a thing, he has decided that I should look after myself first. That's most important. And he has gone and renounced and done anything. But what happened to the people? Of course, it is, you can say it's irresponsible that Anga left. But his situation was such that even if he had stayed, he had to handle his son, an attachment for his son, family members, and his wife is involved, and then people are involved, and ruling would become very difficult for him because of his son. So only if he leaves can the Brahmins actually do what they need to do. The sages and the Brahmins will do what they need to do for a person like him. But if he is there, he'll be protected. He'll not be exposed, and it will be doubly difficult for him also to do. So there are many considerations like that. He thought he left. He left. So Prabhupada is saying here, these people were interested in the welfare of everybody. This is very important. There have to be people in society who don't think about anything else but the welfare of the people. The government is supposed to be like that. The government is supposed to have an advisory board of brahmanas and sages who are known to have a stake, a material stake in the kingdom or in the government, who are free. They're think tanks. They're real original think tanks. They don't care about what the king thinks, what he wants and everything. They just know what is good for the people. And they will say, do this. And he has to listen. He has to listen. Because Vena, the son of King Anga, he did not listen. And he was obviously doing things totally wrong, which is very difficult for people. And all the good people were getting spoiled, and they were all clamoring for some help and some leadership. It was totally crazy. Leadership is so important. Proper leadership. It's not that any Tom, Dick, and Harry, like Prabhupada is saying, without qualification can simply get elected by vox populi, sit on top and not knowing what to do at all. It's a very serious position. And you take 1/6 of the karma of the praja on you, just to show you how responsible it is. It's not responsible just ordinarily. It's very serious. If you don't execute it, whatever wrong they do come on your head, you become responsible for it. You suffer it. Just imagine what is 1/6 of the population of India. What's the 1/6 of the population? 1.2 billion. 1/6 of the karma of those people will come on your head. You are a finished man. For thousands and thousands of janmas, you will not come back if you don't rule properly, especially in Kali Yuga. So these are dangers. And therefore, in society, you cannot have the people elect their leader. What criterion they will have to elect the leader? How do they know that this is what is the goal of life and this is how we should lead people? Common people don't know. That's why they elect film actors. That's why they elect some actresses. That's why they elect some guy who's got a lot of money. If you've got a deep pocket, you can stand for election, you can spend the money, you can get vote. Because the people are uneducated, they don't have any understanding. You just give them all a bottle of drink and you give them some goodies, they'll vote for you. They're so immature. And so they exploit the people and get votes. It's openly happening. It's openly happening. You can see that happening. And they get themselves elected. So if you elect somebody, one among them, the government and the leadership will be like that only. Basically, democracy actually will never help you. You know, Aristotle, he criticized democracy. The Romans already had some sort of a democratic setup. They had the consuls, they had the Senate, and they had the common people. And the common people would also have an elected representative. And the Senate was a body of, you know, very powerful guys who are very rich. And then the guys who are very rich also are part of the council, that's the army and everything. They had a proper setup because they studied it to some extent and they were worshipping all the gods and everything, demigods, all that stuff together, which they took from the Greeks. And they were doing one of the world's greatest governments was set up by the Romans. It lasted for so many years. I mean, I don't know exactly, but a long time. And they had this situation, but they found that over a period of time, the commonality and within the Senate and everything, Aristotle also said the Senate guys will kill each other. And exactly what they did. And management also, they have found out that when you take talented people with merit and group them and put them together, they will fight with each other. They did an experiment of getting chickens, hen, active ones. They spotted, and they put the little sober ones, which are not this thing, they put together. And they put a lot of them together here, and a lot of these active guys together. These active guys pecked each other, clawed at each other, and finally they were killing each other, and mostly they were dead. A few survivors, survival of the fittest. But amongst those who were not very talented and not very aggressive and all that, they became very good friends. Each were helping each other, and they were all alive and healthy and grown good. This is an experiment that they did among using chickens and hens and everything. And they said that this is the nature of when you put people together. So in the Senate, they found that, the famous story of Julius Caesar getting stabbed. He was a consul general. He was the chief of the army, and the army was becoming very powerful because he was conquering. He declared himself the king and something and all that. And these people, Senate, knew the guy is growing too powerful. They actually killed him. I've done that play a little bit, Julius Caesar, Shakespeare's. It's a very interesting plot and everything. So what we need in society is not all these different experiments like the Romans did. Krishna has already mentioned, I've divided Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam. Keep the Brahmanas on the top. They are very few, small, thin band of people. Give them all that is required for them to survive. They need opportunity to exercise their knowledge. They need opportunity to teach people. And they need to give counsel. That's their main business. And the Kshatriyas should take counsel. The rulers should take counsel from them. And they are the ones who should be amongst the Kshatriyas and say, you be king and appoint king. They know best who can be king. It's not that from the bottom to the top you elect. You select leader from the top to the bottom. The people on the top know, provided the people on the top are actually like that. It's not that you become the top because you climb through politics and money and everything to the top and put yourself in the top, and therefore you become a Brahmin or a Kshatriya. No, you should have the internal qualification. Guna karma vibhagasha. So when we have society that is based on that type of a structure, which Prabhupada is talking about, very relevant, and you will see it's exactly working according to these principles. Although you may say classless society, communism, and this and that, in society there are automatically classes because from inside out, each one is an individual. So unless you change each person separately, there's internal transformation for each person. Then only there will be a collective transformation for people. At least in the Brahminical class, the intelligent class, Kshatriya class, even the Vaishya class, people who have money and therefore have power. It's all now interconnected very much. Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, people who've got a deep pocket, a lot of money, they can become rulers. And some of them are not interested. They have greater power having money. They continue to make money. Some of them have so much money. Not possible for them to enjoy to the best extent all that money, even thousands of janmas together. But they keep piling up and piling up. And money who has got, he keeps richer and richer and richer. And those who are poor become poorer and poorer. And there's no connection. Absolutely, there's no leadership. During this coronavirus time, everybody has understood we cannot depend on these fellows who are leading us. They cannot manage it. This is a clear test of your leadership. I think this is Krishna sent. And you can very clearly see a small virus can affect people in such a way that the leadership is challenged. Neither the doctors nor the medical people know what to do, nor the government knows what to do. There is no facility, and people are clamoring, dying. It's a clear indication that this type of leadership will not be enough. It's not the way to rule. That's why Prabhupada is pointing out in these places very nicely that you can't take from the Shudra class of people and put them on the top and ask them to rule everybody. It'll be crazy. They won't know what to do. And people will suffer. And that's going on. So it's a very beautiful analysis that Prabhupada has done to say that we need people who are thinking people, who have controlled themselves, their mind and their senses, who are renounced, detached, and therefore can engage in ruling the world. This is the qualification under which Dhruva becomes a king. When Dhruva saw the Lord, he decided that Swamin Kritartho Asmin Varam Nayache. I have asked for broken glass and you've given me a diamond. I don't want anything. I'm not interested in ruling, nothing. I have seen you and I am filled with love for you. That's it. Therefore, the Lord said, therefore you must rule because you are not attached. People who are detached are very useful because their mind is very clear and they can analyze clearly. They have no stake, they have no attachment, they have no emotional feelings because of that attachment. They don't. They can see very clearly everything belongs to Krishna, everything is part and parcel of Krishna. There's a personalization of everything in this earth, all the resources. They belong to Krishna as Krishna's energy, should be utilized properly. It's not that you should exploit it. They have the right understanding of the world, God, people, and conditioned souls, and they know exactly how to help them to go back to Godhead. And this is what people need. They become happy automatically, chanting Hare Krishna and being led properly. So leadership really needs to be revisited. It's not just on economy and this and that, everything. It's on developing the goal of life. This is a very important aspect. Prabhupada said that he has made ISKCON consisting of members. He's creating a society of Brahmanas. Means people who have brain and intelligence and who know what to do, what not to do. How to give a suggestion, a solution for human society now plagued with all these issues, billions of issues. Everywhere there are issues. It's burning. And just a matter of time. So Krishna consciousness is great hope for human society. We have to take this very carefully. Each one of these shlokas can be understood. Prabhupada has written this brilliant purports, thinking about the future. And he has given principles, administrative class, productive class, intelligent class, all these things, worker class, all of them are in place. And there's nothing wrong. It's not that one is inferior than the other. All of them have got equal opportunities to go back to Godhead. In terms of spiritual life, they're all equal. In terms of opportunities for going back to Krishna, they're all equal. It is just that by their karmas, they are in different situations materially. Material classification is required with spiritual understanding. When you're classified as a Shudra and if you have spiritual understanding, you don't feel bad about it. Some of the Shudras are greatest of devotees. Why? It's okay. I am this lifetime like this. I've done something wrong. But I am spirit soul. I am part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivamsa jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana. I can always connect with God and this thing. This classification is only temporary. Only for this lifetime. I am going back to Godhead and everybody else will be there the same. They're not going to be different. In the spiritual world, there's no Shudra class, Vaishya class, Brahmana class. No. It's only one class, devotee. Devotee class. And according to the devotion you have, you may be high or low or this thing, but that doesn't matter. You always want to develop your devotion and you can develop. There's no, ruling against any of those things. They are completely of a different genre and variety. So Prabhupada has done great service to human society by bringing this knowledge of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, and spreading it. And he's got a purpose. And if you read through the pages of Prabhupada's purpose, you can see he has got a plan. He's bringing out a brilliant vision of this philosophy, this understanding of God, how to arrange society for their welfare. Definitely, Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is the greatest welfare work. Because we're going deep inside everybody, telling them who they are and facilitating their Krishna consciousness. So our process is, we should all become free of impurities inside. And we should be bothered about self-transformation very much. That should be the key focus, how we can become pure devotees. Then as we are working on that, in a community of devotees that we are, we seek counsel, we take help, we help others, and in this way help everybody else develop their Krishna consciousness. This is real seva. Then the same people will also meet with new people who are outside this ring of the community of devotees and bring them into the community. And this way you have a role towards transformation of myself, helping others who are similarly like a journey like mine. They are also helping them, being with them, and then including new people from outside and training them up and being part of it. In this way, from a concentric circle of you inside with your self-interest, you'll be able to influence others and others. In this way, society will grow wonderfully. Each individual person in society has to have self-transformation, then society will transform. It doesn't happen from outside inside. By passing all these laws, all these man-made laws, by new economy, by cryptocurrency, or by thinking that technology is going to help you and software is going to help you because you're connected now this way, that way. None of these things are going to help from outside in. It needs to be inside out. So our first focus is like the kings are saying here, focus on everybody's spiritual life. Everybody should ask to do it as primary. So you can see how ruling and leadership and government is so closely connected with God consciousness. How can you separate religion from the state? That's the problem. In our own country, where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, where some of the greatest pastimes of Krishna have happened, this is the situation. So I hope that we will all be able to pick this up very seriously and be able to institute it and help Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's mission. Om Tat Sat. While I'm saying this, the bell in the temple is ringing. So it looks like it's going to happen. And all of you are going to help build this wonderful community here in Coimbatore, Kovet Chandra. And we'll be able to be a good example for this, which Prabhupada stated here. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Dharantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Nittai Guru Premanande. Okay. Any question? Any comment? If there's any question, is there something on the chat? Okay. Mohi Satyabhama, husbands are considered guru of their wives, so being a leader, will they also take 1/6 of the karma of wife? I don't know exactly what percentage. It's for the king 1/6. Maybe husband takes 1/2. I don't know. And also the wife also takes, because they are supposed to be ardhangini, 50-50. Each one takes a collective karma of one, and each can take 50-50. It doesn't matter. What happens if they wrongly guide the wife? What if the wife is more advanced spiritually? Who takes the karma, etc., etc.? All that is fine. If she's spiritually more advanced, well, that doesn't mean that she should not do her social duty. Her dharma, she should do as a wife and pursue her spiritual life. Spiritual life is more internal. I don't think the spiritual life gets disturbed in any way by doing your external activity from our understanding of Krishna consciousness. You can always try your best. Of course, there'll be some, in the initial stages, tottering and a little bit of effect, your material life affecting you. But gradually, you know that my spiritual life is mine. Nobody else can perform it. Nobody else can affect it. You know, that's Bhagavatam's statement. So you perform your spiritual life, But for society and for doing your dharma towards your husband, you need to also know varnashrama rules and regulations, to some extent at least, and be a grahastha means a very, very responsible situation. In the varnashrama dharma, a grahastha is a person who serves the other three, ashramas. Brahmachari, vanaprastha, sannyasi, he should only serve the grahastha. And he also has got a great responsibility towards society. Much more than sannyasis and brahmacharis have, it's the grahastha who interfaces more with the outside world. The sannyasis, the vanaprasthis and the brahmacharis are in the forest, actually. They are doing study in Gurukul and they are learning. When they come out, graduated, they come and become grahastha and stay and do things. So the grahastha is very, very prominent. A lot of these activities he only does. So the husband and wife, they should have a very good understanding amongst each other. They should know they are jointly performing. And they have to execute dharma jointly, together. And if their interests are Krishna conscious, it becomes a little easier. There is a common ground as a goal of life. So there is no, if the wife is more advanced, does not matter. Wife could be more advanced, doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that the dharma responsibility is the same for both. Dharma responsibility is the same for both. Who takes the karma? Both together take the karma. As far as I know, it's not like the king taking 1/6. If you do something wrong, he gets affected. If he does something wrong, you get affected. Both will get equally affected because you are together one. This is what is my little stretched out overview. Then Venugopal Tirumurti, my inquiry is, in the material world, most of them are conditioned souls. Due to Vaishnavas and causeless mercy of the Lord, some of the conditioned souls enter into bhakti. Such souls, when they mingle, interact with other devotees of similar state. Due to their contaminated state and with gunas, they commit Vaishnava aparadha, get into conflict of their mind level, or even directly. To avoid this, such devotees take instructions, guidance from ashrama authority or administrative authority or bhakti authority. Kindly brief me about these authorities. Now, instructions from ashrama authority or administrative authority or bhakti authority. Kindly brief me about these authorities. My question is, who are these authorities? How to identify and approach them for taking instructions? Also, once we know the authority and start following, sometimes mind dilutes the soul, saying even authority is also human under guna and his instructions are also contaminated. How to avoid such aparadha? Okay, a lot of practical questions here. True, I'll take it from the point that my authority is also human. Yeah, definitely. He is human doesn't mean that he cannot be a perfect human. He can very well perfect. He can be a perfect follower of Krishna's instructions, of his guru's instructions, of the authority's instructions. Therefore, you must follow him. He may have frailties and foibles as a human being. Here and there, sometimes it may happen. But on the whole, on an average, he is very committed. That's why Krishna is saying, Apichet suduracharo bhajate ma mananyabhak sadhureva samantabhyah samyak vyavasito hi saha. I am not encouraging that everybody should be off and it's okay and all that. Naturally, people who are following will ask, why don't you follow properly? If you don't follow, how can I follow you? Definitely, if you don't have to follow a leader who doesn't follow, who doesn't practice what he's telling you to follow. No doubt. But accidentally, here and there something, we should not take it to be a regular thing. That is different from people who are totally off and consistently off and live like that. And that is the goal of their life. Whether it's a goal at all, I don't know. That's the way they live their life. So this is one point. Other point is what type of authority to follow. Well, you're talking about our society has ISKCON. and everything. I already explained to you there are three levels. One is you, then there is a community of devotees. Depends on which temple you're attached to or which congregation you're attached to, or whether you're in the Gulf or everything. Venugopal Tirumurti, I think you're in Bangalore. So you will definitely have always good to stick to a ISKCON center and an ISKCON gathering. And if you are so like that, then you listen to that authority from that particular place. Or if you're connected, although you are there, you're connected with somebody else here or anywhere else, then always have an authority under you to whom you can bounce off and ask things. This is the most important thing everybody should do. Should not avoid. Your mind will work in such a way it tries to avoid authority. Maya will do that so that you can be authority-less. And there's a greater chance that Maya can take you. My understanding is it's always good to be under authority. Authority does not mean as you grow up, no, it's not somebody who's going to take a stick and beat you. The more you grow, the authority also knows you're growing, so he's not going to interfere so much. When he knows you're growing, certain things he's not going to say, you know how to do, that's it. It's not that you have to sit and whole day sweat it out, my authority. It's not like your job. In the spiritual life, authority is not like that. When the person under is growing, the authority is very happy. I have to tell him less things. I have less responsibility for this person. He is also very happy you're growing, and less you will come to him. And he is very happy. He doesn't have to say many things to you. Rather, he'll ask you to be the authority for many other people also as you grow. So there is a structure. You're talking about bhakti authority, ashrama authority, administrative authority. ISKCON is an organization. It is a hard institution. It's registered under charity, Societies Registration Act in India, Bombay Public Trust Act, and there are government laws and rules on the society. We have properties, we have temples, we have to submit our accounts to the charity commissioner, and we have rules of the land we have to follow. And therefore, the society has to be managed in a particular way. And there are designations, there are positions, and people have duties. Because Prabhupada set it up like that, there's a hard society. And he said it should go by law. So the money that comes is used in a particular way and it is accounted for. And all of that thing has to be done. I call that the hard side of the institution, the ISKCON organization, which is very necessary. Then there is a soft side of the institution. ISKCON also means so many devotees in the congregation, the ashram, in the temple, in the brahmachari ashram. They all get together and have a fun time. They dance and they chant, they worship the deity, they hear Bhagavatam class like you're doing now, and they discuss these topics. They go for yatras together. They have relationships amongst themselves. They help each other. And there is a very wonderful rasa in that. That is what is the real juice. But to protect that, you need this hard covering. Otherwise, from outside, all sorts of people will enter and give you all sorts of philosophies, take away your people, take away their faith, everything. So this hard institution also should be there because that lays rules and regulations. Certain things you can do, certain things you must not do. That inside the soft institution also, there should be some fear that there is an authority. They will pass a resolution against me because I did this, which is totally wrong, against Prabhupada's teachings, against ISKCON's this thing, and I'll be taken to task and all that. So there is some fear and there is some alignment towards the rules and regulations and towards the mission and towards the vision of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Otherwise, people you can see in the past, we have seen, they take the society's name and title and they work underneath and get followers. And then they start their own thing and have their own philosophy compromised and want to work away from authority. And this is happening everywhere, not only with ISKCON. So we have that hard institution. So that is one type of authority. If you want to use ISKCON's name, if you want to do anything particular, you have to ask that authority. But if you want to associate with people and take part in this thing, nobody's going to say anything to you. That's a soft institution. And that is what everybody wants. And then inside that you have yourself, you're developing for your development, you're doing this. The hard institution provides opportunities for you to serve Krishna. The hard institution gets donations from people, land, money, assets. And then people get together and build a temple or whatever it is like we're doing here. And then people from outside who don't know anything will come and visit the temple. Wow, wonderful. And it becomes a wonderful preaching tool. And they all slowly get inside the soft institution and we train them up. And in this way, the soft institution grows and grows and grows and occupies the whole place. Everybody becomes Krishna conscious based on the center of the temple. The community grows. In this way, there is a setup. So you have authority inside the community, a community head. You have the hard institution authority, somebody managing it. And you have a mentor for yourself within the community who advises you. So all these are necessary for us if you want to be an ISKCON follower, Prabhupada. And all these authorities should be acceptable to us. Prabhupada has set it up like that. So it's not that only one authority. Certain things are known to certain people deal with that. Certain people deal with many things together. That may be. But as the society grows more and more, you have more people and it becomes more specialized and it runs much better and people do their different services. So when you come to authority, for each thing you have an authority. I would like to give my property as a donation to ISKCON. Meet the Heart Society authority and he will tell you how to do it and you get recognized for it. And if you want to do anything else and you have an idea how to do it, you'll be part of it. I want to learn Krishna consciousness, take a course, and I want to improve my understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Here, we have an educational thing going on. It's managed by the Soft Society. And there are people who are teachers and everything in that. Go meet there, you get. Anybody who comes can be directed to these different authorities for their benefits. Krishna consciousness movement is supposed to rule everybody in the whole world and give them guidance. So we need a lot of authorities at various levels. I am just speaking to you about 3 broad categories. I hope that helps you, Venugopal Krishnamurthy. Keshava Priya Madhavi, Hare Krishna, thank you so much for making us understand something deep. Generally, people outside think that we are just religious. But as you said now, it is not just some sentiments. If we follow Krishna consciousness sincerely, we are able to bring a great change in our internal environment, which is very much needed for society. I feel this point of internal transformation must be made aware to public, isn't it? Not Maharaj. Yes. In this way, we are serving the society in a large extent by producing quality, Brahminic quality people, which are totally lacking in society. Yes, you have understood it correctly. Inside out, each one of us should become very responsible for our own Krishna conscious development. And there is enough resources for that. Prabhupada's books, the society, the deities, the association, the teachers, the opportunities, everything for service, everything is there. Make good use of it and become a nice devotee. And you will be able to become a wonderful instrument for Lord Chaitanya to make many more people transform. That's the way to do. So thank you for that understanding. Keshava Priya Madhavi. And then again from BVS broadcast, I think Prashobh Pai, that must be from Cochin. In today's world, the general populace are selfish and grossly engaged in sense gratification. How can practically practitioners of Krishna consciousness make an impact in the change in present leadership pattern? Nobody accepts Varnashrama too. Very interesting. Very good question, Prashobh. So you're now, how to make Krishna consciousness relevant to the people outside? Nobody is going to take anything unless something is there in it for me. So if you go and simply speak God, surrender to him, Krishna, otherwise, Tanyaham Dvishata Kruran Samsareshu Naradhaman. If you slap them black and blue with shlokas, and you know, he's not able to understand it. It's not relevant to him. And if you go and talk, I want to understand, but can you please explain to me in a way I can understand? You keep quoting shlokas. Those days are over nowadays. I nowadays don't quote shlokas much at all. I've changed. Earlier I used to quote Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charita. Just basic things only I quote now. People are wanting content to the point. And if they are convinced, they'll take it. And what type of content? I'm troubled by these things. I have these questions. Can you give an answer? And give the answer. So Krishna consciousness has got a wonderful model. The philosophy explained by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he practically engaged in the world and took people as a leader and said, see, this is the way. He sat in a TV interview. He sat everywhere with scholars and everybody and gave the message of Lord Chaitanya. And he knew how to engage everybody in Krishna consciousness. You take it policeman, you take it government officer, leader, political person, great celebrity, actor, singer, you name it. He knows how to engage with them. You see all these conversations, they're brilliant. How he's presenting Krishna consciousness to them. This is one of my most tastiest, experience with Prabhupada. Although he writes all these things in his books, when he goes with people, he becomes a different person. He knows the situation, he knows the pulse, he knows where this fellow is coming from, what is his understanding. He loves people. He takes mercy on this person. He's a nice man. He's a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. He's stuck up like this with his understanding. And very smoothly, he steps inside and explains to him. Is it not? Is it not? You can see him asking and you can challenging him very nicely. And he convinces that person to take up some amount of Krishna consciousness. So it's an interesting thing that we need to, the good point that I like you made is how to engage people in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we all, find it difficult. I don't know why I cannot do. I'm going to chant my japa, read my Bhagavatam, do my this thing, do my thing, and I cannot engage because they find it difficult to explain to people. But the more you go out and do, the more you meet people. They are actually nice people, but nobody is there to lead them properly. And they join this group, that group, and scream this and that. But if you personally work with each person, tap a shoulder and say, listen, I know what your heart is about. This. They will come towards you. One-to-one preaching is one of the best ways to transform people. Mass preaching of, hundreds of people we are talking, we don't know each one what he's actually going to do. It's useful, not that it's not useful. But when you one-to-one sit with people, you can actually change people slowly. So I suggest that start small. Humbly work with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people like that, and then let them be convinced, and gradually it will develop. And we know that present leadership pattern and all those things is it'll take a long time to change. It's not that we can do it in our lifetime or whatever it is, but each one can contribute towards that bigger change. Prabhupada is not here to see all the wonderful temples developing and devotees from all over the world. But he said, I can already see it. This is going to happen. You do this. He left. Many things he wanted to do, he could not see it completed. But he knows that people will do it, and I am doing a foundational job of writing these books, setting this society up. Krishna will send many people and it will be taken up and become big. So don't think that everything that's going to happen for 10,000 years should happen within your lifetime. That's not going to happen. This movement is going to go on and on and on. While you're alive and while you're there, contribute by telling people Krishna consciousness, distributing books like you're doing, and bringing it to them to the best of your extent, sincerely. Everybody has to contribute. The world has to be changed. Means you need how many people we need. Every day, everywhere, people have to meet people and keep putting these ideas inside. Gradually, it will be a grassroots movement that will come up. And it's already happening because people like Krishna conscious philosophy. Actually, they like it. They see that we have got answers to all questions and we have a solution. Instituting it takes a little time because we are asking people, follow regulative principles, chant Hare Krishna, give up other society, come here for this. It's all conditions. We don't tell all this initially. We give them solutions bit by bit, and take part, engage with them in some food for life, distributing food and standing. Sometimes we do these type of programs also to show that we are socially relevant. We have answers for social issues. And you have to be able to do that. That is the expertise that we gather casually. That's an important topic. It's one of my favorite topics also. So I spent some time, Prashobh. We hope to be able to do that. Vijay Kumar, how to involve kids in Krishna consciousness? Just involve them. Number one, be a very good example to kids. First, how to involve kids? You do it sincerely. The kids watch, 50%, 60% of your work is already done. They'll watch you, they'll do exactly what you do. If you don't do, please forget the kids doing it. Don't expect that I cannot do, I don't have time, but my kid should do. Forget it. It's not going to happen. So Vijay Kumar ji, how to involve the kids? You be Paka follower first. You do Arati in your house, you do this thing, and your children will follow it. And you take them to the temple, you take part in this, there are children's programs going on this. Gradually, they'll get involved. I don't know where you are, but if you're here in Coimbatore, you can take part. We have a lot of children's programs going and there are devotees managing it. That can be done. That's a broad answer to a very broad question that you asked. Again, Mohini Satyabhama, as you said, both husband and wife take each other karma. Then if the husband is doing wrong, then does the wife has the right to correct husband or inform the authority of husband? Well, don't make things very official. Things change only on a personal level. And we have to be humble if we want a change in another person. We can't just, escalate it on the basis of, I'm going to complain about you to authority. Normally, women don't do that. Women win over by their service, Prabhupada said. By their service and by their good, quiet effectiveness, they win over their husband and they influence him. There is a way of doing things in these deep relationship situations. We can't sacrifice the relationship and try something else. That's an emergency. Unless it is so much of an emergency that the wife gets tortured, she cannot practice a Krishna consciousness, that she's abused or something like that, then only we opt to these type of things. Otherwise, if it is still a difference of opinion on a subtle level, then we can even take another counsel at the most. But we don't do drastic things, complain about the higher authority that the moment we do that, we split the privacy and the confidentiality, and the relationship's closeness will go. So the part of the austerity to maintain that is to try to adjust it as much as possible. I know in Kali Yuga, these are very challenging in many ways. People rather make it open and see, everybody let them know, then only I'll be safe type of thing. They opt for it very easily. And sometimes some husbands are also like that, abusive, and in many ways, the women have to be saved. This is Kali Yuga. So you have to judge accordingly. What is at stake and what do you lose? And accordingly act. So this is too, private a question. And unless some Grahastha deals with it in greater detail, it may be not possible for me to give beyond that information. However, thank you for your all wonderful questions and your deep thinking. I pray to Krishna and the Srimad Bhagavatam's wonderful wisdom will settle on all of us, and we will be able to make significant progress and be of help to change the society. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.